Hello friends, I am Basanna DK, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Vijayanagar College, first bit. So, we will start the polarization of light. The polarization of light can be understood only if you know the theories of light, that is wave theories of light. Wave theories of light means there are two types of waves. One is longitudinal waves, another one is transverse waves. The interference and diffraction can be explained satisfactorily any one of the waves, either longitudinal waves or transverse waves. But the polarization cannot explain both the waves by considering both the waves. But up to in the year 1814, we thought that light waves are longitudinal waves like sound waves. But after 1814, Fresnel explained polarization of light by considering transverse nature of light. That can be explained from these two figures, what I have shown these two. But what is polarization, that you should know first. Polarization means the waves are restricted to travel in a unidirection is said to be plane polarized light. This phenomena is called as polarization. It means lights are restricted to travel in a unidirections or single directions is called as a polarizations. That can be explained here with this figure. Let us, if we pass a ray of light that is called as unpolarized light into a crystal, then it produces a plane polarized light. This we will call it as plane polarized light. This can be explained more satisfactorily or comfortable by considering two crystals here. The one crystal is called as polarizer, the another crystal is called as the analyzer. What is polarizer here is, from this we have a unpolarized light incident on a crystal. This produces a plane polarized light. We call it as a polarized. A crystal that produces plane polarized light is called as polarizer. A crystals which analyze the plane polarized light is called as an analyzer. One is called as polarizer, another one is called as the analyzer. So let us consider two crystals, say A and B are two crystals. Keep these two crystals, the optic axis, parallel to each other. Pass a ray of light, unpolarized light, into first crystals called as A. Then it produces a plane polarized light. That indicates this is the plane polarized light. If these two crystals are parallel to the optic axis, then without disturbing we have a plane polarized light. Okay, and if you rotate second crystal, keeping first crystal same axis, rotate only the second crystals like this. So A crystal is as it is, only rotating crystal B. If the crystal B is exactly perpendicular to the first crystal, there is no light on the other side. It means it cuts the rays of light. This indicates lights are transverse in nature. If you rotate further, if the axis of the crystal is parallel again, then there will be a light on the other side. If you rotate again for 270 degrees, again there is no light. For 360, again there is a light. It means the second crystal, for rotation of the second crystal, keeping first one is constant, will have twice maximum intensity and twice minimum or no intensities. That is called, it is said to be a plane polarized light. Hence we call it as one is polarizer, another one is analyzer. This polarization can be explained satisfactorily if you know the symbols. That is called as symbols to represent plane polarized light and the unpolarized light. So these symbols should be known first before starting the polarization. Okay, then the first symbols, either this symbol or this symbol, indicates that these symbols indicates these are the unpolarized light, and the second symbol represent this is a plane polarized light, as well as this also. But this is plane polarized light when lights having vibration perpendicular to the parallel to the plane, and this is vibration perpendicular to the plane. It means while starting the polarization we should know these symbols, then we will study the polarization in details. So in details means what is polarization by reflection, and next is what is polarization by refraction. So in the polarization by reflection means whenever a ray of light incident on a transparent material, either it may be a water, glass, any transparent material, the part of the light will be reflected back and part of the light may be refracted. The reflected light is partially polarized. This phenomena is first discovered by Malus. This is in the year 1808. And if the plane polarized light or reflected light is plane polarized light, the corresponding angle of incidence is called as polarizing angle. Now we'll study in detail what is polarization by reflection, called as the Brewster's. Next studied by Brewster's, hence we call it as a Brewster's law. It means what is Brewster's law? Statement of the Brewster's law. And this Brewster's law explains that in this figure both the reflected light and the refracted lights are mutually perpendicular to each other. This phenomenon is explained by Brewster's, hence we call it as a Brewster's law. What is Brewster's law? Definition is, the Brewster's law states that the polarizing angle for a given medium is equal to the refractive index of the material of the medium. It means the tangent of the polarizing angle is a constant. That constant is called as the refractive index, that is given here. It means tangent of angular polarization is a constant. That constant is called as the refractive index of the material used. That is called as the Brewster's law. So the tan theta or tan IP can be written as sin IP by cos IP, and this is called as mu. Let us explain this in detail from this figure. Let us consider a unpolarized light. This is unpolarized light. This symbols indicates it is a unpolarized light is incident on a material. So surface of the material is XY. Then the part of the light will be reflected back and part of the light will be refracted here. And this is called as the angle of incidence, and this is called as the angle of reflection, and this is called as angle of refraction. When a ray of light passes from rarer medium to the denser medium, this ray bends towards the normal. Hence this angle is simply, first this angle is angle of incidence, angle of reflections. I have written this IP only. This light is plane polarized light. All the reflected lights are not plane polarized light. For a particular angle of incidence, the reflected light is plane polarized light. The angle of incidence is different for different materials. So for glass approximately 57 degree. For this, if it is a polarizing angle, then you should write I as IP. If it is a polarizing angle, the reflected light is a plane polarized light. According to the laws of reflection, this I is equal to R. Hence we can write IP, and instead of R you can write this is IP. These two are IPs and this is R. Now according to this, I will come to here in the equations. tan IP can be written as sin IP by cos IP. This is equal to mu. And this is same thing as it is. I have written sin IP by cos IP. This mu can be written as sin I by sin R. That is by Snell's law. Sin I by sin R. This is R actually. Sin IP by sin R. Hence, these two, from this equation we can write cos IP is equal to sin R. This is sin R. Sin R equal to cos IP. Hence, this is sin R equal to cos IP can be written as cos theta can be written as sin 90 minus theta. So here cos IP can be written as sin 90 minus IP. Therefore, from this equation what we can write is 90 minus IP is equal to R. That is R equal to 90 minus IP. So R, you can write R plus IP is equal to 90. From this equation you can write directly again R plus IP. You take this IP this side. R plus IP is 90 degrees. It indicates from this figure what we can explain. R plus IP, this angle and this angle is 90, means the remaining angle, this angle must be 90 degrees, because in a plane the sum of the angle must be 180 degrees. If these two are 90 degrees, this IP and this R, this angle must be 90 degrees. Therefore the reflected light and refracted lights are mutually perpendicular to each other. This can be explained satisfactorily because of this Brewster's law. Okay. In the next, what we'll take what is called as the polarization by refraction. We have studied polarization by reflection. The next is the polarization by refraction. Polarization by refraction is called as, the next is the double refraction. In the refraction, double refraction we will study. In the double refraction means when you pass a ray of light, one ray of light into a certain crystals or certain substance, will have two refracted light instead of one refracted light, is called as the double refractions. Let us consider a crystal here. This is crystals. If you pass a ray of light here, you will have two refracted light, so mutually perpendicular each other. One ray here, that is called as extraordinary ray. Another ray is called as here, that is called as ordinary rays. This can be explained properly again. Let us consider a ink dot, made a ink dot on a paper. Ink dot on a paper. Keep the crystals on a ink dot. Looking through the crystals from the above, you will observe the crystals, so that you will be finding two dots instead of one dot. Then rotate slowly the crystals either clockwise or anti-clockwise. One dot remains stationary, another dot rotates around the stationary. The stationary dot is called as ordinary. The rotation dot is called as extraordinaries. So this is called as the phenomena of double refractions. So once you know the phenomena of double refractions, so the Hygiene has explained the phenomena of double refraction in a uniaxial crystals. What you have studied here is only the first is what is polarization of light, then polarization by reflection, the polarization by refraction, that also a double refraction. So double refraction can be explained by considering uniaxial crystals, that is Hygiene's explanation of double refraction in uniaxial crystals. What Hygiene considered here, Hygiene extended his theory of secondary wavelets to explain the phenomenon of double refraction in uniaxial crystals. He has considered crystals, two crystals. One is called as negative crystal, another one is called as the positive crystals. Let us consider one crystal first, that is called as this is a negative crystal. The negative crystals is called as a calcite. So A point source of a monochromatic light in a double refracting medium is a origin of two wavefronts called as two wave surfaces. It means this is O is a point source. Point source. From the point source we have waves spreads from the point source. We have waves to the crystals. This is a crystal surface. So when a ordinary, it means from wave means there are two waves. If you pass a ray of light, this is wave surface on the crystals. One wave seems to be a spherical here, completely a spherical. One waves like this, one is spherical, another one is ellipsoidal. You see, this is ellipsoidal. One waves, it means this is the velocity here. The velocity of this waves is constant. Velocity of the wave is constant. So you see, it means the ordinary wave travels with the same velocity in all direction, and hence the corresponding wavefront is called as a spherical, because it is a constant. Velocity of the wave is constant in all directions. This is called as a spherical wavefront. This spherical wavefront is called as a ordinary wavefront or ordinary rays. So another one is another wave here. The velocity of this wave is changing continuously. You see, the velocity is maximum perpendicular to the optic axis. Again decreases, it becomes same. So on the optic axis. So again it increases maximum and minimum. So it means the velocity of the extraordinary waves varies with its direction. Therefore the corresponding wavefront is called as ellipsoidal. This is called as ellipsoidal. So let me here, if the velocity of the wave is constant means it obeys the laws of reflection and refraction. Hence velocity is constant. Velocity is constant means refractive index is also constant. You see. So that can be explained here. Hence the ordinary wave surface lies inside the extraordinary. The velocity of ordinary rays is constant in all the directions. It means, let me explain here. So here the velocity is constant. Velocity is constant means refractive index is also constant. Here the velocity is changing continuously. The velocity is changing constantly means velocity is not a constant. It means it does not obey the laws of reflection and the refraction. It does not obey. Hence we call it as a extraordinaries. So here the velocity of ordinary ray is less than the velocity of extraordinaries. If the velocity is less, the refractive index is more. The refractive index of ordinary ray is more than the refractive index of extraordinary. The velocity of both ordinary and extraordinary remains same along the direction of the optic axis. Here the velocity of both ordinary and extraordinary remains same. It means you will not be having double refraction if you pass a ray of light along the direction of the optic axis. To have an double refraction phenomena, the direction of the incident light must be always other than the optic axis. Let us consider another crystals called as quartz, the positive crystals. In the positive crystals, you see, this is one is spherical wavefront, the another one is ellipsoidal wavefront. It means extraordinary rays wavefront. This is because velocity is not uniform. Velocity is not uniform means it must be an extraordinary rays. It does not obey the laws of reflection and diffraction. Hence it is called as extraordinary. It obeys the laws of reflection and refraction. This is called as ordinary wave surface. It is a spherical. Here the velocity remains same. Here velocity is changing continuously. Here in the positive crystals, the velocity of extraordinary is more than the velocity of ordinaries. So it means velocity of extraordinary is less than the velocity of ordinaries. It means if it is less means refractive index of extraordinary is more than refractive index of ordinaries. Hence this is explained satisfactorily by Huygens. Hence it is called as Huygens wave theory of light. Huygens explanation in a uniaxial crystals. Okay, thank you once.